Guys, my name is Nozibele Kamgana Mayaba and welcome to my YouTube channel. It wouldn't be a normal video if I didn't thank you continuously. I'm going to do this in every video because I'm just blown away in terms of the support that we have really been receiving. Our numbers are growing every day. I read all the comments, I really appreciate your support, and everyone that has been sharing, that has been liking our YouTube channel. I truly appreciate it. And more exciting news is that recently we were named as one of the top 15 HIV YouTube channels on the web, and considering that we are just recently starting, I mean, we only started I think about October, and to reach such a milestone is in such a short period of time is really remarkable for me. So, and it's all thanks to you guys for keeping on sharing the YouTube channel with others, just to make sure it's getting out there, hopefully to people that really need it. So I'm really excited about that. So I introduced today's topic on my social media pages. I said I'll be covering my abortion story, how I carelessly fell pregnant 9 months after my HIV diagnosis, right? So before I get into that, actually, I just wanted to take it back a little bit because a number of you have been asking me, follow-up questions, have been asking me about timelines, have been asking me about how certain people have reacted or reacted. So I thought to myself, okay, let me just take it back. In any case, that links based to what I'm going to actually talk about today. So I met my former boyfriend June of 2010, right? But we only started dating February of 2012. And even then, when he approached me that, he loves me, has feelings for me, all of those things, I was very clear in terms of, okay, that is very nice. And obviously at the time, I also liked him, but I made it clear. I was like, okay, there are a couple of things that I need to discuss with you. First of all, if we are going to go get into a relationship, you must understand that I am a virgin. That's number one, and I don't plan to lose my virginity until I am married, right? That is what I believe in. That is how I have been, raised, and this is something that I feel very strongly about. For the fact that I have been a virgin for about I was 21. Yeah, I was 21 in 2012. Yeah. For the fact that I've been a virgin for 21 years. This is something that I really take seriously, and I shall not be convinced otherwise, And so I wanted to understand how he feels about that. And the second thing that I wanted to clear, and that I was not sure about, at that time, I was literally about a week or so away from relocating to Germany for 12 months. So the company that I was working for, we were actually working for the same company. So the company that I was working for had offered me a marketing and sales training program. Basically me going into the company's headquarters for 12 months, where I get to be trained in a number of things, more specifically in terms of how, learning the strategy from headquarters and how it basically goes into the different markets, and then obviously come back into the local market after 12 months, and then carry out all that I've learned and all those things. So it was basically like a career growth move for me. So it was quite a concern now that I was starting a relationship a few weeks before I left. How is that gonna go, And I wasn't planning on coming back to South Africa like in between, because one, my aim was to save as much money as I can, so that I can come back home and help out in terms of renovating my mom's house. Booking a flight in between was out of the question for me, because it was really expensive. So I was interested in terms of, are you gonna wait for me for a year? And then, well, I'm in Germany, how's that gonna go? Or are we starting our relationship after Germany? What's going on? So regarding the first question, he was very understanding. The fact that, you know what, I respect where you're coming from, and I will never be in I will never put you in a position where I want to change who you are and change what you believe in. And for that reason, I don't come to you as like, you know, oh, I want to date just for fun. I have, you know, strong intentions for you, you know, about you. I see someone who is a wife, that I can build, you know, a future with. That's why I actually want, you know, for us to be in a relationship, and obviously, hopefully, in a few years, I'm giving myself, he said he's giving ourselves like about the relationship about 3 years, so that we can build, you know, ourselves into, you know, into marriage. And then I was like, listen, first of all, it must be very clear that I was 21 and no one had ever, now I've had guys, you know, coming to me and proposing a relationship, but I have never had a guy proposing like a marriage, you know. And you need to understand like where I was coming from, for as long as I can remember how I was raised, you know, by my mom, who was a single mom, who was very strict, like no nonsense taker. I went to school, I came back, and that was it. And one of the things that she instilled in me is that, you know, I have to wait for my husband. I will give myself to my husband, you know, after I'm married, obviously, so I mustn't fool around and all of those things. But the only thing, I wouldn't say the only thing that she missed, because she did everything that she thought was right, and I applaud her for that. But you know what? No one told me in terms of what should I look out for in a husband, in a potential husband, when a person comes to me, you know, and proposes marriage. So the first person that came to me, that was proposing a marriage, I thought this was it. This was surely it. My Prince Charming has come. This is what, like, you know, I've been praying for, and hopefully my mom has been praying for all this time. So this is legit. This is my husband. And then in terms of the second thing, of, you know, waiting for me while I'm in Germany, he also reassured me in terms of that you know, I don't even have to worry about that. What is 12 months, you know, within a year, like in a couple of months, you know, I'll be back. So 12 months is not an issue. That shouldn't even be an issue, and we will be in communication with each other. So it's not like I'm vanishing for 12 months and then coming after that. We will be communicating, you know, on phone and all of those things. So I was like, okay, this makes sense. And then that's how the relationship started, you know. And then, you know, I went to Germany, spent a couple of months in Germany, obviously still communicating. Like, I was falling in love each and every day, guys. Those butterflies, literally, when he tells me that he loves me, I will literally feel something inside, you know, my stomach. Like, that's what people say about butterflies. So literally, I will feel things in my stomach. And then every time he told me that he loves me. So I was falling in love each and every day. And then the odd thing now, I was still obviously hell of a bent in terms of like my intentions with this whole thing. But I started observing, although it didn't click obviously back then, it only clicked like years later. Our conversation, we were talking every day, you know, for hours sometimes. Conversation now started to change. So what would happen was, you know, we'll be talking, you know, confessing our love for each other, that we miss each other so much, that he can't wait for me to be back. And then it will shift also in terms of, you know, what the future would look like for us, you know. He can't wait for me, you know, for me to give myself to him, basically having sex for the first time, making love for the first time, you know. He can even imagine that, you know, after I'd waited all this time, finally giving myself to him. Guys, I I just need to be clear about one thing. I read a lot of books, love books, okay? And I also watch a lot of movies, okay? So this kind of thing, you know, this is the type of thing I often read about. And for it to happen to me, it was really a big deal. Do you get what I mean? That was when I was like, this is it. This is like really true love, guys. This is what I've been praying for. Don't judge me. So that's how the conversation started now, you know, growing. And as I said, I didn't realize what was happening until years later. So while he was saying all of this to me, he never pushed me. He never said, you know, I think we should now have sex. But it was like a psychological thing for me to be left with all of those thoughts. So when I went home, or when I was alone, I will be left with those thoughts, you know, about the first time. I would imagine all of these things. And also, it was during the hype of 50 Shades of Grey, and I was reading that book, so I kept imagining. I know this is silly, just go with me. I kept imagining myself also, like, obviously not the rich guy perspective, but from a virgin perspective and having sex for the first time, you know, and all the things that Anastasia and like that the lady was talking about, her feelings and all of those things, I imagined for myself, right? And then eventually, after now I thought about it, I was like, listen, I had a conversation with God, and I said to God, listen, Lord, this is the thing. The guy is basically made his intentions clear. He told me that he's going to marry me, right? I am going to be his wife. So technically, he is my fiance. Let alone other formalities that still needs to happen. But basically, I trust this person and we are committed to each other. So whether I have sex with him now or later, I don't think will make a difference, you know? So that's how I came about in deciding that, you know what, screw it. I'm not going to wait. I'm just going to have sex, now. So I told him immediately of my decision. He kept on asking, oh, are you sure? And I'm like, yes, I'm sure. I can't wait as well. All blah, 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 blah. And then during that period also, my boss, I was talking to him and he asked me if I was not homesick. And this was in the middle of a program. And I was like, I actually am. And he's like, oh, okay, don't worry. We will organize for you to come back for a few weeks in September of 2012. And then you can spend some time with the family. The crook that I am thought to myself, oh, okay, so what I will do, I will take about 2 weeks leave, from the program, and then I will spend 1 week with my man, and then the other week with my family. I thought that was a perfect plan. So I told him what was happening, and he was happy for it. And then the discussion about now, we had a very random, not very serious conversation about, doing an HIV test. And then, so what was going to happen is that when I arrived in South Africa, we were not going to have an opportunity to go for an HIV test together, and because I couldn't be seen roaming around the streets of South Africa while my family only knew that I was coming like a week later. Do you get what I mean? So I said to him, okay, no, don't worry about that. I will arrange that I go see a doctor while I was in Germany, and he sees obviously his doctor in South Africa. So I arranged to see my doctor. I forwarded him my test results. My test results came out HIV negative. And then when it was time for him to go for his test, he said to me, oh, you know what? A very randomly, like a random conversation. You know what? The doctor will make fun of me because I go for my checkups all the time. So in my mind, I was like, oh, okay, if he goes there all the time, surely he knows his HIV Lantuka status. So I don't need to ask about it. It was the excitement in me that was not thinking straight. And I own it, I didn't ask for his HIV results. So anyway, Fast forward now, everything happens. I go to South Africa for the 2 weeks. I go back to Germany. I finish my program in March of 2013, and then in August now of 2013 is when I had the random HIV test during a wellness day at work. So right after I discovered my HIV status, I called him immediately. I was like, because as I said, we worked for the same company. So I called him immediately. I'm like, what do you call, I just had an HIV test from the wellness day, and my test came out positive, and they did 2 tests. And so what's going on? And then he kept quiet. And I'm like, okay, so usually as you can see, like I don't even need to explain. I'm more hype, I'm more, over the top, dramatic, and all of those things. And he was more calm, So I thought it was one of those moments where he was being calm unnecessarily. Like this was not the moment where he needed to be calm. He needed to be more he needed to be on the same level in terms of my shock. And no, he kept quiet, and then he was like, "Can I call you back?" And I'm like, "Excuse me, did you hear what I just said? I just said the HIV test, I just did it the wellness day, came out, positive. What is going on?" He's like, "Listen, I have to go." And I'm like, this guy is not serious. And then, anyway, fast forward, we go now to verify, the test, and the test obviously I verified that the test came, the test was correct. I'm HIV positive, and obviously now for for weeks I'm having like back and forth conversations with him, and I'm like, okay. Just a couple of things. One, you knew I was HIV negative because I forwarded you my test results. And number 2, you also knew I was a virgin. So just in case you think like an HIV test for some reason was incorrect, I was a virgin. So you were the only person that I'd ever slept with. So how could this happen? Like how could my test come out HIV positive? He could not answer me. Like for weeks. The only thing he kept on saying is, I don't know how it happened. Like, I really don't know. And guys, I don't know. I think I was also like in the notion where, you know what? I'm tired and I'm also in a state of shock. So we need to plan the way forward here. One, I cannot tell anyone else. The only people that know about this is just the 2 of us, right? So I am relying on him to be my support in all of this because obviously I'm shocked, right? So I was like, you know what? Okay, whatever the case may be, now I started becoming, Dr. Phil in the whole relationship. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, what we need to do is like, we'll be fine. We'll stick together and all of those things. Because also you need to understand from my perspective, if I had broken up with him and what was like I kept on thinking to myself, what will happen, like what will become of me, what was going to be my next step. And if I say to myself I'm going to start like a new relationship, what am I gonna, like when I meet the person, if I'm going to meet the person, how am I going to disclose? How are they going to take it? How am I going to explain? Do you get what I mean? In this day and age, HIV, like people living with HIV are still being, stigmatized, are still being discriminated, so dealing with all of that, like I didn't think I would be up for all that work. So the second best thing I can do is stick it out with this person who knows where we've been, and to try and reason with this whole decision that I had taken. I actually thought to myself, actually, if we think about it, this could be the greatest love story ever told. Life, tried to throw us a curveball, but through it all, we managed to stick together through thick and thin. So, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're still together. We're still supporting each other. That was a whole rationale. Guys, it wasn't even, it wasn't even 3 months. 3 months is actually a lot when things started turning from bad to worse. It was bad. If I was not dealing with his excessive drinking, then I was dealing with, his rude girlfriends, calling me and telling me that they were with him and all of those things. Like, guys, it was just a lot, right? And through all of that, by the way, and all that supporting like nonsense that I was trying to gain from all of that never happened. Like, there was no conversation in terms of how we're going to support each other and all of that. But through all of this, his excessive drinking and also his girlfriends that he kept on changing, like all the time, I still stuck it out. I still didn't make the decision that I wanted to leave, right? We'll break up here and there, but the breakup was only intended, just to wake him up. So maybe he's gonna get better if I threaten threaten him that I'm breaking up with him. But at the end of the day, it didn't do anything, right? In actual fact, it only proved to me that I needed to do more to keep him in this relationship. So what happened is, if he wanted to have unprotected sex, despite what the doctor had said about reinfecting each other, if he wanted to have sex without a condom, I let him have sex without a condom. And that happened like quite a number of times. And at that point in time, I had stopped taking contraceptives because I thought to myself, okay, the doctor had said, we must use a condom. So if you're using a condom, then there's no need for contraceptive pills and all of that. And I was also, contraceptive pills was much better when I was in Germany because I was staying alone. And now back in South Africa, where like our house, there's no privacy in our home. So like I couldn't put my pills anywhere, even in my bag. If mom is looking for something, she'll see the contraceptive pills. So I thought myself I was more in danger of carrying on with the contraceptive pills. Anyway, so in 2014, now as I said, I was diagnosed HIV positive August of 2013. So end of May 2014, I missed my period, right? And I started observing that I'm gaining weight. Now listen, I've always been a chubby girl, but back then, like that, it was bad, right? I started observing that I was gaining weight, and I will often have like nausea, but not that much, and also dizziness and all of those things. But I was like, after I missed my periods, I did think maybe there's a possibility that I was pregnant, but I was still in denial. I was like, no ways. Like, there's no way that I would be pregnant. Because also, I kept on thinking every time we had those unprotected sex, I did drink like the morning after pill. Anyway, so I thought to myself, no man, I'm sure I'm just a little bit late. Although I've never been late ever in my life. My system has always been on point, okay? So end of June, again, I missed my period. That's when I thought to myself, okay, there's something really, really like wrong, right? And so at work, where I used to work, we used to have an in-house clinic. So I used to get along very well with one of the nurses. So I went to her and I told her the story that I didn't tell her about the HIV status. I told her that I think I'm pregnant, but I'm not sure. So she had me have an HIV test, and it tested out positive. Still didn't believe it, because this test can be wrong, right? And then, so I said, no, there must be something wrong. It can't be, right? So she said to me, okay, go to a gynae. She referred me to a gynae. Went into a gynae. The gynae did like, okay, so I told him the story that I think I might be pregnant because I missed my period for 2 months, right? And he said, oh, okay, let's check you out. So he checked me out using like what do you call a scanner and all of those things. And after a while moving through my stomach, and he kept quiet and was like, and I'm like, what does a mean? And he's like, no, there's definitely something there. And I'm like, what do you mean there's something there? He's like, no, you are pregnant. And from what I'm seeing, you're probably about 6 to 8 weeks. Guys, here's the thing. I feel like I could deal to some extent about being HIV negative, HIV positive, because it was not readily in everyone's faces. I could deal with it myself. But being pregnant, and knowing my family and where I come from, I didn't think that I could handle it. You need to understand really where I'm coming from. I grew up with a mom that is very strict, very Christian, very traditional, and then I'm the only girl and the youngest, and also like the apple of everyone's eye, so I really didn't think I had any other choice. So the doctor, I actually need, just before I share further. So while the doctor was busy scanning me and I'm busy in my zone of shock, so the next sound that I hear is the sound of the ultrasound. I didn't know what it was. Now I've seen obviously from movies how when the person is having an ultrasound, but being in a room and hearing an ultrasound, and not an ultrasound of someone else, but your ultrasound, and actually the realization that there's something growing inside of you, that is something like, I write about it also in the book, that is probably something that I'll never forget. That's one sound that I will never ever forget, right? So the doctor asks me, so what do you want to do? And I said, like, I don't have a choice. I need to terminate, right? And he says to me, don't you want to think about it? I'm like, doc, there's nothing to think about. Like, I have to terminate, right? So it's like, okay. Obviously, over back and forth, we eventually set a date, which was a week from then. So yeah, the doctor set me up a date. Went in to have the abortion. In between that, someone might ask, what were you thinking? I tried to block out each and every emotion, that came with all of that. Maybe because I thought to myself, if I thought long enough about the decision I made, I might, change my mind or something like that, or I might evoke other feelings that I didn't want. So I tried to block as much as I can all of that, and I did not also tell my boyfriend, because it was just a lot going also with him, that I didn't want the added pressure of having now also him deciding what are we going to do. So I felt like I needed to make the decision alone. So I had the abortion. Yeah, I can't even say, did you feel pain and all those things, because as I said, they put a mask and that was it. The next time I would wake up in a ward with other patients, and the nurse telling me that I just needed to wait a few hours for the drugs to get out of my system, and then I can go home. Someone will probably ask, how did you feel afterwards? I mean, every decision that you make, obviously you do live with the consequences of it. From my side, it's the consequence of having to forgive myself of the fact that, I terminated a life. And it does take time to get over that. I will be honest. Especially also when I get to think about, some of the dates, and getting to think that there would have probably been about 4 or 5. What kind of mother would I have been? How would they have turned out? Would they have taken after my personality? How would they have looked like? And once again, what kind of mother would I have been, and how everything would have turned out? I don't think, it does take time for you to get over that. And also, some of you that have been following me on social media, my brother has an almost 3-year-old, right? And I have such a special bond with her, right? Because for some reason, although the timelines do not, obviously, like, they're different, because she would have been younger than my child, but how she looks so much like me, and also how she's so much like me from a personality point of view, that I often look at her and I think of my baby. I know it's ridiculous. I honestly know it's ridiculous, but that's why sometimes I even make fun of it sometimes, and I say my sister-in-law had my baby. She was basically just a surrogate, but she just had my baby because she's a replica of me. Yeah, guys, I mean, it's a learning, curve. It's I always continue to say also on social media, that it's forgiving yourself every single day, to get to a point of healing, and also get to a point of accepting, because obviously, as much as I would have liked to, or how I could have changed things, point is I am at this point, and I could never go back, right? So yeah, it is what it is. I talk more about it, on my book, that is coming out very soon. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. And once again, what I want to point out is that I take responsibility, of everything that I do and everything that I've done. There's no blame that I can ever put on someone else. I take responsibility once again that I should have protected myself. And even after I had found out that I was HIV positive, I could have done everything in my power to make sure, this doesn't happen. But as I said, I didn't know any better. But we are in a totally different, space at this point in time, and I'm grateful for all the lessons. So yeah, guys, that's my story. So until next time, we'll cover yet another topic. I hope you enjoyed this. Until next time, bye guys.